Over the course of several years, social networking sites have affected society in many ways. Sites like Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Formspring have had a great impact on people in society, as well as countries themselves. Social networking sites have not only changed how we communicate, but also how we receive news. We asked students, parents, and teachers about their views on how social networking affects society today.
I think it's exposed people's private lives. A lot of stuff gets onto the Facebook. It gets onto into different things that normally people wouldn't want to have out there. But at the same time, it certainly has, I guess, a purpose because it allows people to connect and reconnect. So I don't use it myself. I don't Twitter and all that. But, you know, I know that from my own kids that they have Facebook and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, I think it's probably overblown right now.
I'm probably outside the norm, but I haven't bought into this whole Facebook thing. I actually think it's kind of a waste of time, to be honest with you.
Do you think social networking affects our society in a better or worse way today?
Yeah, I think it has. It depends what people are using it for. I think that's really where the determination is, whether it's effective or it's ineffective, whether it's damaging or whether it's a good process. So again, it gets back to what your intent is with Facebook or the social network itself.
Certainly there are more productive things that we could be doing with the computer. I'm a technology teacher, so can't tell you to get off the computer very well, but yeah, I think it's a waste of time if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Do you think social networking sites are a danger to our society?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think they have their benefits. I know a lot of young people use them, although I'm told the fastest growing group of people who use Facebook is over 35. No, only a danger in so much that they can consume what you do and people don't communicate as much face-to-face anymore. But I think there's some valuable tools. I know Mrs. Reicheld uses it in her classroom, and kids go on there. She has a separate account just for students, and she has assignments there, and so she buys into the whole thing and actually makes it part of her curriculum. So I think there's a lot of positive things too.
Well, yeah, there's definitely that threat if people are looking to get information from you. It's kind of just out there. I mean, you can pretty much find anything you want on a certain person if you're friends with them on Facebook. But I mean, if you take measures to make sure that none of your information is getting out there, then you should be fine.
And do you think kids in our society today or teenagers spend too much time on social networking sites rather than doing something else?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I do. I think there's it's an easy access. I mean, certainly the technology today is far advanced as it was 10 years ago, and it'll be a lot further ahead when we get 10 years from where we are today. But I think that the amount of time that teens put into it, because it's an easy access, is probably better used in some other areas.
Well, I do. I think a lot of time is being spent on that, and you know, if you're social networking, you're not doing other things which could be more productive, like reading, getting other kind of knowledge. On the other hand, you know, it's no different than 10 years ago when I guess my generation, we were just, you know, IMing, instant messaging on the computer. You know, every generation has their thing. As long as we don't let it consume ourselves and it becomes, you know, like so many hours in your day and you kind of constantly keep checking your BlackBerry and you can't even focus on what you're doing, if it doesn't become that, then I don't think it's a danger.
Well, I think kids are sharing and they're communicating more, but I think they're also sharing a little too much. Some of their personal day-to-day activities, I don't think it's necessary to share quite so much. You know, people say, well, I'll be right back, I'm going to the store, or I'm going here, I'm going. I just don't think I think it's reached a level of just too much communication.
Do you believe that Facebook gives out too much information about a person?
It can, certainly. I think, you know, there are a lot of schools that have a class, a mandatory class. They teach you what you should be doing on these social networking sites and what you should not be doing and why it's important. You know, at this point we don't do that. We'd like to. And I think it's critically important. Kids don't typically, when they set these sites up, it's about their friends and being social and putting themselves out there before they really fully understand the implications of what that information could be used for, who could be seeing it, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of work to do in that area.
Okay. Do you think society is caught up in social networking?
Well, I would say the younger generations are more tech savvy in general because we've kind of grown up with this advent of technology, but I'd say in the next coming generations, most of society should be adapted more or less to the social networking.
These sites have recently affected the individuals that take part in the Egyptian revolution. The effects of these sites led to the arrest of Wael Ghonim, who is known as the symbol of the leaderless rebellion, as well as the Google executive who was jailed for his internet organizing. We asked citizens what they know about the chaos in Egypt and how they think social networking is associated with the leaderless rebellion.
Well, I knew that President Mubarak announced his resignation, I'd say like 2 weeks ago, and it's created unrest everywhere among the Arab world because dictators are now being threatened by the people that they dictate. So it's actually really exciting. But I've actually noticed a bunch of Facebook events saying support Egypt and all that stuff. So I guess it's kind of easier for them to communicate and gather support for what they're doing through social networking.
Certainly that has been a huge factor in the revolution in Egypt. It's been a great tool for them, I think, as a society, which is interesting and unique and just kind of puts a completely different spin on what I had believed Facebook to be as this waste of time. I think it can be a very powerful tool.
Well, I think it was immensely important for what's going on in Egypt. I mean, it allowed these people, it allowed that revolution, even in Tunisia, to take place because people knew what was going on minute by minute. So in that sense, I mean, I'm very pro-democracy, obviously. That was a really good thing for Egypt. So that's one of the huge benefits you just pointed out about Facebook and Twitter and those kinds of things. Hugely, you could not have had that revolution without it. I mean, it was absolutely essential.
After interviewing students, parents, and teachers, we have concluded that although communicating through social networking sites to connect with friends is good, the amount of time we spend on these sites and the amount of information we leave out there is not always acceptable. Social networking sites are now not known to just connect with friends, but to collect information and send messages across in a way much faster.